fortunate to have these guys come in and give us this type of training. As I've told our wrestlers in the past, when you get to that elite level, when you get to state finals, whether it's K through 8 or high school, everybody's good at that level. And what's going to give you that little bit of an edge? Everybody trains hard. Everybody knows the same moves. The difference is the mindset, how you focus, how you prepared for that match. That's the difference when you get to that level. And that's why we bring these guys are the best in the business. This is Gene Zanetti. He's co-owner of Wrestling Mindset. Started out wrestling for Rutgers, graduated from University of Penn, third in the state of New Jersey. I'd like everybody to put it together for Gene Zanetti. Thank you.
All right, good seeing everyone. I'm coming from a little bit further than the last time that I came here. I'm originally from Edison, New Jersey, which is like, Jersey, we look at Parkway exits. That was exit 132. Now I'm coming from New York City. Just got married this past year, like 7 months ago. So now, let's keep that applause going for my son who's coming in March. So let's keep it going. So that's Gene the Fourth. Hopefully you guys will be teaching him like I'm teaching you guys today eventually in the future. But yeah, so I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you for having me. We're going to do some mindset stuff today. We're going to be doing some technique. We're going to be doing some training. Really, the big thing is understanding that there has to be a purpose behind everything that we're doing. There's got to be a purpose. So the first question I ask athletes, and we work with probably close to 120 teams around the country. We work with the Olympic team. We work with UFC fighters. So basically, we take the toughest people in the world and we make them even tougher. Okay, so it's an exciting thing. And I might change the way I say certain things to a younger group, but I'm saying the same things. So I'm not telling you guys anything different than I'm teaching our college teams. So our Division II team, St. Cloud State, they've been NCAA champs 5 years that we've worked with them. I think we worked with them 6 or 7 years, 5 of the years they've been NCAA champs. I'm telling you guys the same stuff I'm telling them. And actually since then, we've branched out to other sports. So now we work with basketball, soccer, gymnastics, tennis, golf, you name it, we work with them. That's why those sheets you see over there, you see different sports, you see different athletes. So a lot of you might have siblings, you might have a brother or sister that maybe they don't wrestle, but they play baseball, or they play tennis. Well, we have a program now that works for them that's tennis specific. So let me back up a second, I'm always getting ahead of myself. And you probably remember the last time I spoke to you, the first question I always ask is, what percentage of wrestling is mental, and what percentage is physical? If you had to say, what do you think? Call it out, we're not in school.
90-10.
90-10? 95-5? All right, so what Okay, so I'm hearing a very high percentage mental. And here's the reality, we'll never know for sure what that number is. I don't even know if you could gauge what that number is, but we could all agree that the sport is very mental. So a lot of you said 90% mental. Maybe some of you said 50% mental. Then I ask you this question, how much percentage are you training physically versus mentally? What does that look like? What percentage are you training now physically versus mentally? What would you say? 99% what? Physical training? How about over here? About 95% what? 85% physical training, right? So now pause it for a second. I want you to think about that. You're saying wrestling is 50 to 90% mental, but our training is 95% physical. Who sees a problem with those numbers? Say aye. Aye. And that's just like me. I was never that great at math. Math was always a subject I had to work harder at. I was always better at English and history. My brother was better at math and science. But either way, I don't have to be a mathematician to understand there's a problem there. If I'm saying wrestling is 90% mental, I better be training 90% mental. Does that mean that I should be doing less physical training? No, we probably even have to do a lot more physical training. But we got to make sure we're also spending a lot of time on the mental part of sports. And this goes for, we can think of this as parents too and as coaches, and me as a business owner. What percentage of our jobs are physical and what percentage are mental? Also, we're just getting into the new year. We think about our New Year's resolutions. How many of us are setting goals for our diet, setting goals for our exercise, even as adults, myself included? What percentage of our dieting what percentage of our training, ourselves, getting in shape, even getting in basic fitness shape, is mental versus physical? It's mostly mental, right? There's many diets that are out there. What do you want to do? South Beach, Atkins, keto, all these different things, right? You could succeed on any one of those diets if your mind is right. But you're not going to have success on any one of those diets if your mind is wrong. And that goes for anything. Maybe it's not diet, maybe it's our jobs, right? Maybe it's school. What percentage of our school is really geared towards our attitude, our effort? Are you really giving 100% in the classrooms? Are you really giving 100% paying attention, studying for those tests, doing your homework? Or are you doing homework, listening to your music, watching TV, little brothers and sisters running around? We're not really paying attention. So be honest with yourselves. We got to be honest with ourselves. So I start off with those numbers because I want to make the point that if you want to be very successful, and I have to make certain assumptions. There's a group of a lot of people here. I have to assume you're here because you have high goals. I have to assume people in this room want to be great. Is that a good assumption? We have people here who are trying to be great? Most people here, okay, yeah. Most people here are not trying to be average, we're trying to be great. I'm here to tell you that if you want to be great, you need to look at what great people are doing. You need to study great people. You need to study the best. Stop looking at what your friends are doing. Most people tend to be average. Most people tend to be what? Most people are what? So if you want to be great, you need to study what kind of people? Great people. So I don't want you looking at your friends and your classmates. It's nothing against your friends and your classmates. I want you to start thinking, how do the best athletes in the world think? How do they act? How do the happiest people in the world think? How do they act? How do the holiest people in the world think? How do they act? How do the richest people in the world think? And how do they act? Stop comparing ourselves to our friends and let's start comparing ourselves to the upper echelon, the highest level people. And one of the big things that I've learned with all my years of study, and I have 2 master's degrees. I was a school psychologist before I started doing this. I have a master's degree in exercise science and sports psychology. So my whole life has been studying, how do you bring the most out of yourself? How do you become great? And all these different areas of life, whether it's wrestling, school, business success, weight loss on New Year's resolutions, the principles are the same. The principles for success are the same. It's what we're focusing on. We have to make sure we're focusing on the right things and not focusing on the wrong things. Okay, so we have to start training with a purpose. We have to start studying with a purpose. You never do things just to do them. That's very important that you understand that. You never just do things to do them. When we come to practice, there's got to be a goal in practice. What am I trying to accomplish? In school, you don't just sit in a class and show up. What are you trying to learn? What are your goals in school? Because it was the same. My brother Jeff and I, we went to an Ivy League school. We went to the University of Pennsylvania. So we were saying we were Division I wrestlers. Both of my younger brothers and I, we were ranked in the top 20 in the country. Greg was ranked as high as 6th in the country at Rutgers. And he's actually in Rome now. He's studying to be a priest. He's got another 2.5 years left. But it was always, how do you become the very best you can? We wanted to be state champs. We wanted to be national champs. We wanted to be, Ivy League schools. And the principles are the same. So you have to tune out what your friends are doing and start thinking like the very best. So we on the same page so far? We're good? Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Number 1 is making sure we're training smart. And I actually went out of order because this is the most important lesson out of all of them. The fact that all these success principles are the same, we have to apply these lessons that we learn in wrestling to life. We have to apply the wrestling lessons to where? Life. And I want to tell you that if you're not applying these wrestling lessons to life, you're missing the boat. If all you get out of this is being a state champ, if all you get out of this is being an NCAA champ, if all you get out of this is being an Olympic champ, you missed it. You missed the boat. You made the biggest mistake. Wrestling has to be a vehicle to improve you in life. If you understand these mindset lessons we talk about, if you understand some of these principles, you should be a better student, you should be a better son or daughter, you should be a better citizen, you should be a better person. So we have to use wrestling as a vehicle to improve us in life. So even the workouts we're showing you, the exercises, there's always a purpose behind what we're doing. We're not just doing it just to do it. in any area, wrestling, school, or life. So you're going to see how some of these principles start coming together. So before we get the guys on the mat, if we want the wrestlers, take the mat, start getting your shoes on, slide up on the mat. Parents, I'll keep talking. The wrestlers, on the mat, quietly put your shoes on and take a knee. Quietly put your shoes on and take a knee. Not yet.